Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to Accountant's Minute. I hope you're having an interesting week. How accountants can gain from business advisory services is our theme article for this week. How could you gain from business advisory services? Can I take you back in your memory a little bit, please? Last May, the CommBank Accounting Markets Pulse report identified that based on the survey that they had conducted of accountants, small, medium-sized, large, situated all over Australia, that all but 5% of those firms that were surveyed had indicated that they would be diversifying services during 2021 and 2022. All but 5% would diversify services. This means that 95% of the firms situated all over Australia were committed to this concept of diversification. And a significant amount of that diversification is expected to be comprising business advisory services. So, how are you going to go about it in your firm? What have you done? Did you resolve, after you read the Accountant Market Pulse report nearly a year ago, that you were going to implement some diversification? Was it successful? Did you get started? What's the result so far? Did you have a system? Did you approach it in a systematic manner? I would like to suggest to you that ESS BIZTOOLS can assist you on this journey. And it is a journey because it does involve some reorganization of what traditionally has been your approach to doing things. When you are primarily a tax practice, preparing annual accounts and income tax returns, you really don't have to do much marketing or promotion or even communication with your clients. They seem to turn up every year. But when you start launching into business advisory services, you need to differentiate yourself in the marketplace because most firms are offering annual accounts and income tax returns. If you are now going to start offering other services, you need to be able to communicate that firstly to your current clients, because some of them might be looking for some of those other services and decide that you're not interested in providing them and they're going to go to someone else to get that work done. And that would be a shame. If you've resolved to introduce business advisory services, you need to get on with it and tell your clients and then your prospects as soon as possible. So what you need to ask yourself, I think, is what can your firm gain by diversifying business advisory services? You might be surprised with the item that I'm going to list as top of the chart on what are you going to gain. You're going to gain happier team members. Let me take you back a bit to December last year, when Accountants Daily noted that 70% of employed accountants were evaluating their employment prospects elsewhere. 70%. Surely that included some of your accounting team members. In other words, Accounting Daily is saying that they weren't satisfied with the job and they were ready to jump ship. And these are probably your best accountants. They're the ones that are confident that they have the ability, they can communicate, they can market, they can talk the talk. Exactly the people you need in your organization. So I would urge you to look very seriously at this. By offering business advisory services, you will be supplying these people interesting and challenging work. The next alert on the horizon was a little bit earlier. Back in October, the Financial Review ran an article looking at the crowdsourced funding, equity raising industry in Australia, which incidentally is going quite good. And we have product packages that will help you deliver in that very important area for SME clients. But the article indicated that the crowdsourced funding intermediary that they interviewed, who was the joint managing director of Equitize, Johnny Wilkinson, had indicated that the intermediaries were only accepting 5% of the people who made contact with them, interested in trying to raise capital as a crowdsourced funding equity raising entity. Why? Only 5%. That's the second time in 5 minutes I've alluded to 5% being an important indicator. And this time it's saying that 95%, which I calculated as being 1,560 companies, were turned away by the intermediaries. I suspect a lot of them had not approached their accountants for assistance. In fact, I really hope they hadn't, with that level of rejection. And they didn't approach their accountants because they thought their accountants were only interested in attending to income tax matters. And they probably accepted you do that very good. But our communication, public relation, marketing aspect of accountancy firms needs some improvement. We need to tell clients that we're interested in helping them on this journey. We just cannot ignore modern developments that affect SMEs. We need to be involved if accountants are going to continue to be the key business advisor to SMEs. I think that's very, very important. If you were proactive in securing work from clients who envisage undertaking capital raising as a crowdsourced funding equity raising company, you will definitely have some interesting and challenging work for your team members. So hopefully that's going to keep your team happy. Let's turn to some of the other aspects of what you could be looking at. What type of services could you be providing? Business plans and strategic analysis of a business should be on top of the list. But it's not a Me Too business plan. It's not something that's just printed off. You need to ask the questions and analyze what's going on within the business. Predictive accounting reports, budgets, but budgets that are prepared based on the projected position that's going to apply in the next 12 months and then the next 24 months and 36 months. Not just last year's figures plus a percentage. That's not budgeting. Budgeting means you have to go back to the source material. Let's look at the production. Let's look at what the marketing department estimates needs to be activated if we're going to sell that quantity of units or whatever. And then look at the journey. Business review meetings, a must. Try to encourage every one of your business clients to have a monthly or quarterly meeting. Cash flow reviews, trying to reduce debtors days outstanding. Tradies charge out rates. Most small and medium-sized accountancy firms in Australia have got quite a number of tradie clients. One firm told me they got over 110 tradie clients, and they introduced them to our package, picked up about $700,000 in extra fees just out of their tradie clients because they serviced them with calculation on their charge out rates that took into account that particular tradie's productivity percentages, took into account their overhead expenses, took into account the stickable markup that tradie was going to apply to external purchases made for the benefit of the client. And the tradie had set a targeted profit, and the charge out rates, as long as productivity is in accordance with the budget and overhead expenses are controlled within the budget, the profit will be earned. A great turnaround from tradies just picking a figure. Retailers and wholesalers, they've got a different situation, haven't they? Because they've got various product mixes. Might have 40 different product packages. And then they've got different markups that apply to each of those. So there's some fine tuning that needs to be done. But accountants in big companies, the public companies, are very much involved in helping set prices. Why can't you be doing that for your clients? Research and development. We have a separate package on research and development that we wrote a couple of years ago, because I think it's important that small and medium-sized accountancy firms are at the coalface in helping small clients with research and development. Why? Most of the research and development projects start with small businesses, but a lot of them end up gravitating to the larger firms because they think they're the only ones interested. Why aren't smaller and medium-sized firms interested in helping clients? After all, research and development is also controlled by the Tax Act. You could argue it's still part of taxation. So hopefully this will give you some idea of the sort of services that you could be offering as part of this overall concept of how you can gain. Because from this extra work, your firm will be earning substantial fees. You will have a team that's happy because they will be doing interesting and challenging work. As one young lady sent me an email one day in which she said, "Thank you, I'm now doing real accountant's work." Wouldn't you like to be getting those sort of notes sent to you by your accounting team? "Thanks, boss. I'm now doing real accounting work." They know they've still got to do compliance work, but mixing up the composition will be great for the morale of your team. If you want to know more, we have a special webinar on how accountants can gain from business advisory services. We're going to go through it in a bit more detail. It's on Wednesday, the 13th of April at 12 noon AEST. You can register on the ESS BIZTOOLS website. We then have a week later services that small, medium accountants could provide in more detail than what I've talked about in today's discussion. 20th of April at 12 noon. And predictive accounting. Your client needs these services. This is budgets, cash flows, projected balance sheets. We're going to talk about that with Paul Barnaby, who's an absolute expert in predictive accounting. He's a very experienced chartered accountant, but decided 20 years ago that predictive accounting was the area that accountants had to head in. So that presentation's on Wednesday, the 27th of April at 12 noon AEST. To register for any of these webinars and to find out more information on ESS BIZTOOLS product services, please go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au. I hope I've created some real interest and motivation in that. If you did decide nearly 12 months ago that you were going to start the diversification journey and you haven't really followed through, please start now. Maybe the week after Easter, and really get on with implementing it and talk to us. I would love to hear from you so we can help you on this journey. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.